Hi, my name's Ali Kelly and I'm the CEO of Mindblank. For years, many people have been asking me, why you, why mental health, why Mindblank? I often answer that question in different settings, depends on who's in the audience. But I've now started to understand that sharing my story is so important and vital to understanding the why when it comes to why Mindblank. So my very first story in relation to why suicide prevention. At the age of 6, I became a carer for my mother who has been constantly suicidal throughout her life. I remember one of my first memories of this. I came into her room and all the curtains and drapes were closed. It was a dark room and she was just bawling her eyes out. And I remember my family's reaction to this because my dad always had the attitude, don't worry, she'll get over it, because he'd seen this season so many times. And I remember my older brother of 3 years, his attitude was basically to disconnect and go in the other room and play computer games. And yeah, at the age of 6 or 7, the only thing I could think of to do was to crawl into bed and to cry with her. Suicide prevention is so important and it's such a vital part of my story. The aspect of never giving up, knowing what to do to help support someone. In this time period, quite often I lost my voice. I learnt to hide a lot of pain of what was going on, and now I know that I've learned wrong. So my own story of mental health and depression came about in 2010. After I experienced a mild harassment case, I was triggered into the memories of my own past. Depression hit me like a brick. I'm usually such a bubbly, outgoing personality, and in that time, I knew something was up. I struggled to get out of bed, and I struggled this battle within myself. I knew that if I just picked up the phone to call someone, or if I took that phone call when people were calling me, or if I just got out of bed to try and make myself something to eat, I knew all these things would make me feel better. Unfortunately, post-traumatic stress disorder took 6 months of my life in terms of recovery. And I feel lucky that I actually found my way through the system. So I stumbled through, where do you access help? And what was really odd for me is, at the time, I was still a university student and I was actually studying psychology and creative arts. And interestingly, not many people actually knew the pathway. It was a simple gesture, just go to the GP. Someone gave me a card. One individual intervened, and that person is the reason I'm still here. Suicidal thoughts and ideology did not win. There's something inside of me that has tenacity and grit, and although I've shared that there were struggles within my family battling mental health, particularly depression, I'm also really one of the lucky ones. Personal development was something that was introduced in my life at the age of 10, I think it was. And my mum, although she's had these struggles, she's also been one of the strongest pillars in my life because she's a motivated, dedicated person who is inspired to want to change. So I created Mindblank in hope that other individuals could find their voice. I honestly believe that the health system has some great services. It's just that sometimes the public wait too long before they seek help. And in a crisis, it's very hard to stumble your way to find the right pathway. And sometimes it takes time to find the right outcome or to get the right support or to have that plan lined up. And in reflection, Mindblank started because there were programs that came into my school, back when I was struggling. And I remember being on the edge of the seat with them. But I also remember that the very facts and figures basis were just not that engaging, and it would often go in one ear and out the other. And through those programs, I did not find my voice there, and I wasn't confident enough at the time, I guess, to seek help or know what to do. And the reality is, because of my past history and trauma, statistics show that I am more at risk of suicide. And every single day is living proof that I can do something about that. I honestly believe that no one needs to suffer in silence, and that's why I created Mind Blank. I wanted to make sure that individuals knew, well, what do you do in a time of need? And what are the services that are out there? What are those help-seeking pathways? Education on help-seeking and behaviours and mental health information are all critical things when it comes to trying to prevent suicide and supporting individuals in the community. So my ideal utopia is that Mind Blank continues to work with partnerships in service providers to reinforce the messages and the services that are running, and that we're not just educating young people, but we're also educating an entire community. It's one thing to make sure that young people feel empowered to know who to trust and what those help-seeking pathways are, but it's also the connections with the community in terms of the parents, in terms of the schools, in terms of community in general. It's a holistic effort that is going to create a more resilient community. And I'm an advocate for youth suicide prevention because it's a passion that has triggered my heart. And I hope you understand my why in terms of the many, many hours I have dedicated to get Mind Blank to where it is. And I hope you understand the why in terms of why we need to keep working, to keep connecting, to make sure we have a stronger and more resilient youth community. Thank you.